Hey guys, Chris here with Work to Game, and today let's talk about Red Mage. So overall, it's just a DPS. It's going to queue as a DPS. It's a ranged DPS. I don't even see it being as utility as maybe a bard or even like a machinist. It looks like it's just going to get in there and wreck some stuff. Some of the abilities look to be where they're kind of name them after fencing abilities, and so I don't know if they'll leave it that way because you are equipped with a rapier and it is kind of a fencing class, or if those are just good holdovers for kind of what inspired them and they'll come out with a more RP based name. But let's go ahead and dive into what the abilities do and what this class is looking like. It is centered around the idea that you are a ranged DPS who's going to jump in for melee combos. You're going to have the ability to do these chain spells that result in these kind of instant casts, and the goal is going to be to combo those and see how long you can do this. The better you've been doing your rotation, the better you've been paying attention, the longer these are going to last and the more damage you're going to put out. This means that, of course, if you're getting instant casts, it's going to be primarily based around knowing what kind of your shortest cast time is, casting that first, and it's going to be a lot about spell priority, because if I know that this is going to trigger a longer cast, I can chain these together. And honestly, it would be really, really neat to see a class that adds some complexity into the game for the players that want that. I appreciate a lot of the simplicity that they're adding to the other classes, but I think with a class-specific UI, giving me something that almost feels like a Dance Dance Revolution, like where, oh, great combo, definitely sounds like a lot of fun when you're in that kind of mood. Now, building out the actual rotation and what your spell priority is going to be hard until we get our hands on the class in just a few weeks here. I'm going to kind of give it my best shot to break these down in the order that they make sense to me, but we will have to see since even the final numbers are not released. Now, much like a Black Mage, you're going to be working on kind of two modes. Instead of working with, kind of that blue versus red where you're going back and forth, you're actually going to be working with black and white mana simultaneously. And you have a gauge on the class-specific UI that's going to tell you where you're at on this. Now, we've been told that as you start to kind of work on one of these, if you just work on it over and over, your DPS is going to suffer. It really exceeds when you start to balance these and you can use them at the same time. But what's crazy is that as you start to maybe work on just black, 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 it's going to actually trigger more and more of these like instant cast abilities, which will give you the opportunity to jump to white a little more painlessly. So I really don't know if it's going to be like, oh yeah, I always open with 4 black moves in a row, which causes me to jump into white, and then I balance those. I really don't know what that's going to play like, but I'm super excited by just the idea of 2 manas that are working simultaneously. Now, with the combos about getting faster and faster and faster at these instant casts and you're building up, it is really interesting to think that you're going to have to time it so that you kind of hit that point where you want to use your chain all at once, and then this whole dance has to be timed within the mechanics of a boss fight. They show it on some basic mobs, we'll probably get to see some video here and there of it being used on a target dummy, but what's interesting is what happens when I want to jump in and chain and I know there's a big AoE coming. So it's really, really interesting to think about how this class is going to be balanced and how it's going to avoid the damage gap that they say Stormblood is supposed to fix between your casual players and your extremely hardcore players. Because I feel like this class might be setting itself up for a little bit of that. So with some translations being out there on Reddit, we can start to read about the abilities, so let's go ahead and dive directly into those. Now, first is Thunder. Thunder is going to boost your black mana, and every time you cast it, you're going to have a 50% chance to proc the ability to cast Fire. Now, Fire also boosts black mana, but can only be cast when it's been procced by Thunder. So that's your kind of black mana. Now, the other side of this is going to be Arrow, which will boost your white, and that will go ahead and proc Stone. Exactly the same mechanic, just black and white. Then there's an ability called Scatter. This is also in the black rotation, but this is now an AoE, and it has a 25% chance to proc itself. So that sounds like the beginning of a basic AoE rotation, but those other two are definitely in line with what we've been described the class is meant to play like. Now, if the bars get high enough, and I'm seeing some translation issues here, but it seems like it's going to be kind of a core type name, and that is based on like a fencing term, and that is going to be what jumps you in to begin using your combos. Now that we've done our gap closer, you're going to cast kind of Moulinet, and that's going to begin your melee rotation, but Moulinet actually becomes like an Ammonet or something like that, which is a more powerful version if both your black and your white are above 30. Now the number on that could change, but really the idea is basically if you're above a threshold, you're going to get a more powerful combo when you use your gap closer. So given that the mechanics allow for it, it would be worth sitting out just a little bit longer to unlock that more powerful ability. Now we're starting to trigger the ability to use things like Contra 6, which is actually just another damage ability, but is off the global cooldown. So this is not only instance, but you're going to see instance that happen very, very, very rapidly, and you're going to be able to chain these abilities almost instantly. Once you've finished kind of playing in there with melee, and it's time to get back out and start building back up that mana, you're going to go ahead and use Displacement, which is going to be your gap increaser. Now there are going to be some other abilities like Embolden, which will boost your ability to do damage during your rotation and things like that. And there's just going to be some other general utility type things, but that's the base of the rotation, is those, you know, the black ability proccing the better black ability, the white ability proccing the better white ability, and then kind of you have a little bit of an AoE rotation, you have the ability to close the gap, do some damage, and jump back out. Now this thing where you're kind of comboing things based on the situation, where you get a feel for when a move is best, feels a little bit like what Dragoon kind of plays like to me, but the fact that you're balancing two types of mana, and definitely feels like the ranged caster that Black Mage already offers. And it's intriguing to begin mixing these classes to make something new and unique, and I look forward to seeing any future classes they release, but for now, this is awesome. Now I've kind of been under the assumption that this is a leather class, which is weird because it means you won't necessarily have gear sharing, so maybe that's just something that I've been getting wrong. But it is interesting to think about them kind of pairing us, in that now that we have role-based abilities, it feels like every class is kind of tossed into its niche, and so with ranged DPS having its own kind of role, maybe they're splitting that into subgroups, and so kind of Machinist and Red Mage can be partnered, Bard can be in on there, and then, you know, Black Mage can be over here, Summoner, things like that. And so it would be interesting to see them kind of start to group that, where you are still sharing gear, but you're sharing gear across similar classes, instead of it all being class specific. Or maybe they'll just leave it all class specific gear. I don't know. But just an interesting kind of thought to look at, okay, well, what constraints have they put on themselves now that they're trying to simplify down to this role system? But with that, I'm already starting to drift away from the facts we know, and I'm starting to speculate. I am excited. I cannot wait to get my hands on this class in a few weeks here. So definitely let me know what you think in the comments below. We've gotten a chance to kind of see some of these abilities. We've gotten a chance to kind of see a lot of how this class is going to work visually, but we're not getting our hands on what the timing feels like when it's you at the keyboard or the controller. So with that, go ahead and leave some comments for Brian and I below. What are you thinking? What are you excited about? Is this going to be your main? Is it just going to be a class you level after you get your main all capped out? Is this just going to be something that, I feel like there's going to be a lot of people playing it at the beginning, I'll maybe try it later, or I don't think it'll stick? Definitely let us know what you hope this class is, what you hope this class is not. We'd look forward to hearing from you, and thank you guys so much for watching. We cannot wait to be in Stormblood with you, and I will see you next time. Hey guys, Chris here. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to see our next video, go ahead and click right there. If you'd like to see our vlog, click down below. The subscribe button should be right below me here, and you should see all of our contact information. Have a great day, and we will see you next time.